Every day a woman reigns.
You're watching Trish Stanley TV, where the everyday woman reigns.
Every day a woman reigns.
Welcome back to Trish Stanley TV. As I stated before the break, we're going to do a breathing exercise that Stephanie suggested. I would like for us as a whole to do it so we'll know what that feels like. Because I think this is a journey that we all personally, just even for our own selves, need to exercise and incorporate in our lives in this crazy life. So Stephanie, take it away.
Okay, and so before we get into that, I just wanted to touch on, you asked a question about the spiritual questions regarding meditation. It's not about a religion. Meditation is about just being. And we spend so much time doing, going, and probably don't even realize how much time we feel we are in mindlessness. If you think about how often you drive to your location that you go to on a regular basis, you probably cannot recall anything you see along the way. You're on autopilot, you end up in the parking lot and you don't know how you got there, not even seeing the lights change. So meditation is about being. And I did mention that there's mindfulness, concentration, and visualization. So those are three forms of meditation. I'm going to walk you guys through mindfulness. Now, mindfulness is when you're utilizing your five senses: sense of sight, sense of taste, sense of smell, sense of touch. A quick way to meditate is while you're brushing your teeth or eating a meal. And how you might do that is focusing on, let's use a meal. You're going to focus on the color of the food on your plate, whether you have vegetables, whatever you have colored. You're going to focus on the temperature of the food in your mouth. You're going to focus on the taste of the food, and you're going to focus on the smell. So that's mindfulness eating. You can do it in the shower. You focus on the water. You're hearing the water hit the shower. You focus on the utensil that you use to clean your skin, the smell of the body wash that you use to clean your body, and I think I said the temperature. So that's being mindful in the shower. It's basically being in the present moment. You're not thinking about the future. You're not thinking about the past. And you probably know this, but thinking about the past brings about depression because you're regretting. Thinking about the future brings about anxiety. You're anticipating what if. But if you're in the present moment, that's peace. And so it's all about being. Okay, so I want us to, so the meditation that I'm going to go over with you is loving kindness. There are different types of meditation or mindfulness. Trish mentioned that I do yoga. I do practice yoga regularly, 5 days a week, actually 7 days a week, but I go to a studio 5 days a week. It's an hour practice, and during that practice, I'm breathing the entire hour. So I'm breathing similar to what I'll show you today. So loving kindness is a meditation where you focus on yourself, and we don't do that enough. So loving kindness is giving back compassion and kindness to yourself. So I'm going to have you to just take a few deep breaths. You can either close your eyes or bring them to a soft gaze. Some people don't like to close their eyes, and that's okay. And you're going to inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. And I want you to do 3 more of those. Just inhale through your nose, exhale through your mouth, inhale through your nose, exhale through your mouth. Now I want you to take your right hand and put it over your heart, and your left hand and put it over your stomach. And I want you guys to continue breathing, and I'm going to do a mantra. This is something that you can do on your own. You can do it out loud, or you can do it in your head. So as you're breathing, may I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be safe. May I live in ease. And then you might want to think about loved ones, and you can quote the same thing. May they be happy. May they be healthy, may they be safe, and may they live in ease. And this will conclude the meditation.
Awesome. Thank you for that. So now we know what to do, right? So let's put that into practice as for our well-being. We have a physical therapist out here. I'm sure she's queen of touch and the importance of touch in the audience. I told you we got pros up in the house. So we're going to open it up for anyone who has questions for the panelists. I know that's where the questions are going. So anyone, feel free.
So my question is for Dr. Gaylord here on the end. In listening to each of the panelists today, I have heard them speak about their life circumstances and how they're coping. And in each of those life circumstances, I hear opportunities for traumatic experiences to manifest in their lives. And as a Black woman who's been taught to power through, to push through, like it's in our DNA, it's imprinted on us as a legacy of slavery. I just wanted to hear from you from a clinical perspective, like what your experiences are with supporting our demographic, Black men, Black women, and what are some of the major impediments that you see coming up for us in being able to access the level of type of care that we need, internal impediments that we may have, or even in the field itself, like what's presenting, and how can we go, like get better? Like how can we get over that hump as a people? Yeah.
Okay. So several thoughts. One is just, I think a big part of that is recognizing all the things that we carry that we just miss, right? So transgenerational trauma, it's a real thing. Like there's studies, there's research about it. And so that is basically talking about, even if you've had a traumatic experience, if your mother had a traumatic experience, if your grandmother had a traumatic experience, that is in your gene pool. It literally trauma alters your genetics. And so sometimes things are happening, you know, like, I don't know where this is coming from. So it's like those pieces. So, sometimes we don't talk. Like, do you know your mother's story? Do you know your parents' story? Do you know things that happen in the family? Like that culture of silence. Like it's so important to have those conversations. I currently do a lot of work with university level students. And what I'm seeing, particularly about a very high caseload of young Black women, they don't know what they are feeling. They're just feeling. It's just overwhelming. It's exhausting. And they're like, I'm like, how do you feel? Okay, good. I'm like, those are not feeling words. How do you feel? And they literally get a blank look and they're like, I don't even have the words to tell you how I feel. I just know, like, I feel a lot. And so that's basically, we talk about language, like literally, here's a feelings wheel. Which feeling matches how you feel right now? Like literally basic understanding of what's happening inside my own body every day. So Stephanie's point of like mindlessness, you're just going through the motions. And so helping them to access those aspects of themselves and understand what's actually happening with them, giving them language. There's so many barriers to care. Like that's the internal barriers that even recognize I deserve care. Like it's important for me to take this 30 minutes and go sit down and be quiet for a minute or go for a walk. It's like, I got this to do, this to do, this to do. And it's like, so when are you taking care of yourself? And like, when I go to bed at night. Are you even resting? Not really. Because you're still worrying about what you didn't do from the day, what you got to do tomorrow. Like you never just in that moment existing and being calm within your own body. So highlighting those things of like, what is it like to care for yourself? The best way to be a caregiver is to start with yourself. Because
That's
like, yeah, it's a culture of like self-sacrifice and martyrdom, and it's not required. But that's something we have to change within that culture and within ourselves. And like, I deserve rest, I deserve joy, like I deserve peace, I deserve all these things. That's a big thing. If they get in the door, it's like convincing people you deserve this care. I've had people be like, I don't have time to come in for an hour every 2 weeks. Like, I don't know where that's gonna fit. I'm like, it'll fit. Let's pull out your calendar. We'll do it together. I help you with that part. So getting people to recognize they deserve the care, the treatment. Understanding that there's systemic barriers. There's hard to access care. As a clinician, I've tried to access care and gotten frustrated with the process. And been like, we'll take a break. I'm gonna keep praying and take a break. But because there's so many just natural barriers in place, whether it's financial, whether it's finding a clinician. We know that our people tend to do better with clinicians who have the same racial identity and makeup for a lot of reasons. And so, but there's a lack of that. There's not a lot of clinicians, right? And so being able to find that, being able to understand that telehealth is an option, I love it because people who have transportation barriers, have time barriers, that's a way for you to take your lunch break and do a therapy session, right? That's a way to show care and consideration for yourself. Recognizing if there's people talk about the stigma in the community, but being able, a lot of that comes from lack of knowledge and awareness and understanding. There are really things that you can do that can help you, right? And so it recognizing that you deserve that support, that it's there, and there's ways to access it.
Good, that's good. Next question. Anyone else?
I'm so happy to be here and to be able to pick brains, because as a physician, people always pick my brain. So now I got y'all. So I am almost 50, have 2 small children. One is 11, the other is 6, and they both have special needs, both autistic. One has CP, cerebral palsy. So my question is, what is the best way for Attorney Deborah? Best way to protect my assets, but to provide for them in the future as we age, me and my husband?
Great question. First and foremost, I think a trust is going to be quite helpful. And in doing a trust, you will also we still do wills when we do trust, right? It's just called a pour over will. And it basically says, if I still have things in my name, put it into the trust. But I think that's going to be important for you to have 2 things. The will is important because in the will is where you can designate a conservator or a guardian for your minor children. So we want to do that. And if you do that in your will, it's a testamentary disclosure in your will, and the courts will honor that upon your death, right? So it makes things go a lot easier. But in addition to that, I recommend a special needs trust for them so that you can insulate what you want to pass to them, so that if they are receiving benefits as they move into adulthood, if they're receiving any type of governmental benefits, it won't, and they inherit from you, it won't kick them off of those benefits, right? A lot of times those benefits are based upon income. So the minute they inherit from you, that's great, but think about the lifetime, the lifespan. So if they have another 50 or 60 years, we want those benefits to stay intact and also allow them to inherit from you. So in your particular case, I would recommend special needs trust to address. You can set those up now for them so that they're ready to go, and you can have them funded upon your death, or you can fund them now. That's just really up to you, but it gives you some options. So a will where you name it a guardian and conservator, because that will be needed, right? And then the special needs trust where you're setting up trustees to help manage assets that they will inherit from you. And then in addition to that, your own trust, right? So you can have your assets in trust and have it pour into the special needs trust that you've set up for them.
Our next question, please. It's my gaga, y'all.
My name is Maisie Beard Gaylord, and as you all said, Chantel is the daughter of my womb, and Trisha is the daughter of my heart. She's my god baby.
Whole heart.
I'm her gaga. She couldn't say godmama or godmother when she was born, so it was gaga, and it is gaga to this day. But my question is for Regina. We've all heard about hospice, and always it was a scary thing to hear because we said death. We equated hospice with death. And then we have a niece who has stage 4 colon cancer, and the doctors have released her and told us best for her to go into hospice, to contact them. So I'd like for you to give us some information about hospice. How should we think about hospice in this day and time? Because they're saying that hospice has changed from when it was 30 years ago to where it is now.
Great
Yes,
question.
thank you so much. The first thing I think is lack of knowledge. And the Bible says we perish for the lack of knowledge, right? And just from a perspective of people of color, I shared with Stephanie, right, that when we need hospice services and when it's really time for us to access hospice services, oftentimes we refuse it. Because in our minds, we feel like we are giving up on our loved one. No, I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up. We don't understand the value of hospice. We don't understand that, number one, it doesn't mean death. When I did hospice, people would say, how can you do hospice? I did foster care. I've worked in the social service arena in a lot of capacities, right? And people say, oh my God, how do you do hospice? It must be horrible. And I say, I don't focus on the inevitable. We're gonna die. I focus on living and being in the present. So what we have to do when a physician or practitioner comes to us and they say, hey, your loved one really needs hospice, then we need to ask the questions. Okay, so what does this mean? Yes, hospice has changed. There's palliative care. There are other things that we're doing now. But ask the questions and then know your rights, know the value of receiving the services. I'm going to say this out loud, and I hope no one gets offended. White people know. I hate to say it. They know. They understand that with hospice, number one, sometimes you see your loved one get better. Why? Because they are getting consistent medical care. A nurse is coming. A nurse can say, oh, we need to do this or we need to do that. You get support in terms of feedings if your loved one needs nutritional supplements, if your loved one needs diapers, if your loved one needs pads. We sometimes are stressed financially caring for our loved one at home when hospice can be an avenue to relieve us. Not only that, it just helps us prepare. It gives us a support. So I encourage us to not be afraid of the H word, right? I used to go talk to families and they say, oh, please don't say hospice. Please don't say hospice because I don't want mama to think we want her to die. We are gonna die, but if we focus on living, focus on being prepared, oftentimes we are the illest prepared when it comes to end of life care. And then you got the sister that lives in California, that's the Lone Ranger. She wants to come in. She has not been involved. You can't hear from her. And she wants to make all the decisions, right? But if we prepare, we have the 5 wishes. Anybody heard of 5 wishes? If you haven't, look it up. The 5 wishes, something basic as, what are my wishes? What do I want? We don't talk about those things. Hospice gives us an avenue to have very uncomfortable conversations about what we know is going to happen. We were put here to serve his will, and when my expiration date comes, I'm gonna leave here. But how I leave here, the people that I leave behind, and the way I support them through actively choosing hospice, actively choosing services, actively choosing resources is important. We are the most stressed people when it comes to death. We rolling on the floor. We all the things. We crying, we're yelling, we're screaming, and it's because we don't take the opportunity to tap into the resources, tap into the support. So for your young niece, I don't remember the relationship, it's okay to receive the support and let her know that it doesn't mean that you all are giving up on her. It is another opportunity to provide some support and care to not only her, but the rest of the family, the whole person.
And remember what she said previously, you have to be engaged.
Yes.
When they are in there, you have to stay engaged.
If I could just, can I just add something, too? I'm just going to add to, as just someone who's in the midst of it now, it's very interesting and every story is different, but I just wanted to share. When my mom went on hospice, I was told she had a couple of days, it's a couple of days. It's been a couple of years now. And I wholeheartedly believe it is because of the care she's getting from hospice that has allowed me to extend her life. Having the nurse come in and all of the supplies, the support. There's a spiritual advisor that can come in. They have all of these things. So I just think what you said just is so powerful. It's like, instead of focusing on death, it's kind of focusing on what life you have right now, right? Where are you right now? And so it's been a real blessing for my family. So.
And we have an employee at the funeral home that was in hospice twice. He's still working. Well, last night he was in hospice. Hospice called, and his wife called, and Mr. Levitt went to hospice and made the final arrangements and everything. I think that scared him. So the next thing we know, he's coming out of hospice and he's back to work.
Oh, wow.
So hospice does not mean, like you said, a death sentence. Not always. You can die at home.
And I think too, what happens, I'm sorry, is a lot of times, again, because our loved ones have needed hospice, maybe needed it a year ago, maybe needed it 2 years ago. And we kept saying, no, 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 no. And then by the time our loved one is actively transitioning, their body is changing, then it gives the appearance, oh, hospice killed my grandmama. Yeah. She came home and in 2 days she was gone. Well, technically, grandma was probably, her body was shutting down. She was actively transitioning. But no one recognized that. And by the time we said, okay, Lord, I give up, I'm going to let you have this, or we're ready, because it's not giving up, but we're ready, then our loved one is already transitioning. And so it gives the appearance that hospice came in, and when they came, they killed her. I mean, honestly. So we have to be able to recognize that as well. There is power in information and tapping into resources when we need them, even to support families from a mental health perspective. The anxiety, all of the social implications of end-of-life care, the psychological implications, the financial implications. Hospice helps us navigate those things.
Very good. Do we have any more questions?
One question I have. My mom transitioned in 2019. She left my brother as power of attorney and over the will. My brother, in the meantime, received a closed head injury. So her will has been in probate since 2019. What can we do? Because mentally he is not where he used to be. And I'm tired of it. I mean, I'm tired of getting letters in the mail that, they've been talking about body seizure. You know what I'm thinking? Wait a minute. My mother's, wills and probate, he forgets when the trial date comes out. But what can we as family members do that kind of?
So, first of all, I'm sorry you're going through that. What I would recommend, there are a few things that you can do. If your brother, I don't know if he has the ability to step down, he may not have the ability to, or he may not want to, right? Either of those may be the case. But what the family can do is still petition the probate court. So you can petition to have him removed for the various reasons that you've mentioned, because right now he lacks the ability to really adequately support and manage the estate. So it doesn't have to be a negative. It's just that right now he's not in a position to continue in the role that he's been put in. And the issue is that he has a fiduciary responsibility to the estate, right? So, it's not that if you're appointed, you just don't have to do anything, right? I would probably, as a family, come together and petition the court to have him either, I'd start with saying, can we help you? Right? Can we help you? And maybe he just needs an attorney to assist. So sometimes you can hire an attorney to assist with the estate administration process. And he can stay in the role if he so chooses. He can step down. And then my last suggestion and last resort would be to petition the probate court to have him removed and someone else step in. So you have to be prepared for that too. So if we remove him,
I'm at
then,
that point.
right. So you can petition the court to step in.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So Deborah, can you have more than,
I'm sorry, I just.
so can you have more than one executor? Like almost like if you have a main one and then a backup?
So you can have, in your will, you can name co-executors. You can do that. We don't recommend it because I think it ties people's hands, meaning that if you and I were co-executors, I can't act until I find her. So we have to agree. That's great if we're on the same page, but if we have fundamentally opposing views on how certain things should be handled, it's problematic. So yes, you can, if you stipulate it in your will. We advise against it. Typically what we do is we ask you to have one person named and then we have successors. So if this person is unwilling to or unable to serve, then we have somebody in second place. Okay. And so in the scenario that you just mentioned, if, for example, in the will had this person as the main executor, this person as a successor, if you were to petition the court, I would ask that the successor executor then step into the shoes, and that would still be a way to fulfill the testator's, your mother's wishes, right? So that's what I would do.
Okay.
Very good.
Thank you.
Very good.
I believe we have one more question. Are we good?
It was actually me. The question was answered.
Okay.
But, I would like to say something. I don't know if you want it on record or not.
Sure.
But I want to say,
Thank you. I didn't know what I was expecting or what was going to be expected today, but has reached or went way more what I have expected. So much knowledge, so much wealth of knowledge from every aspect, and I want to thank you. I thank you for being vulnerable. Thank you for opening up. Thank you, Trish, for just this experience. It's been great, and that's just all I really wanted to say. It's just this has been a wonderful experience, and hopefully we can do this. I feel like we need to do this more often. As a community, Black women, even a human race, we need to talk more. We need to share our experiences more. We need to know how to help somebody more. So thank you.
We have one more question.
Hello, thank you for having me. Hello. Thank you for having me. I'm very pleased to be here. This is the most exciting, and each thing that you all touched on, it kind of touches on the pieces that make up the family that I come from. I have two questions, and they don't have to be answered right now, but kind of think about. So the one question was for Attorney Deborah, do you offer probate litigation? And so the other question was, based on what you have shared with us today, and you talked about the pieces that brought you here, do you have a take-home nugget for each person to work on from your foci, like from what it is that you do internally or how you present your work? What would you want us to take from it?
Okay. So what we'll do is we'll start with Deborah here, and you can answer her question, and then also any tidbits that you would like us to go away with, and then we'll work our way around.
Okay. So, yes, in terms of probate litigation, I do probate litigation. So, anytime we have a matter in the probate court that is objected to, it turns into litigation. So whereas you might have a contract dispute or some other dispute in, it's civil, just a regular civil world, in the probate world, anytime there's an objection, anything, it can turn into a litigated matter pretty quickly. So yes, my firm handles that. And I think for me, in terms of just takeaway nuggets, I think it's kind of what you've heard from everyone today. I just really think that preparation is key. I think about oftentimes, you have life insurance, you have car insurance, you have these things. Let's think about car insurance. And you hope you never need it, right? But it's something you pay for every month, just in case you need it. And so to me, I look at all of these things the same way. Prepare just in case. We don't know what life is going to throw at us, so why not be prepared? Others do it. In our community, we can do a lot better job of just being prepared and understanding the resources that are available.
Okay. My nugget would be make a plan. Don't just listen to me, what I have to say today. Actually do something. Have that conversation with your loved one. Have things in place. Take care of yourself. We bury more caregivers than we do one that's dead, that's sick. So it's very important to take care of yourself. It's very important to have things in place. It's very important to have car insurance, fire insurance. You might not never have an accident. Your house might not never burn down. But guess what? You're gonna have to pay that price. So just start doing something. Just don't leave your family hanging mentally and financially.
My takeaway would be devoted to prayer. Be devoted to having a relationship with Jesus Christ. Because when you're devoted to your prayer time, that's when you'll get the instructions that you need for the day. Because you don't know what you're going to face from day to day. And even in those moments, you're self-aware. You can see what's going on with your body when you're just being still in that moment when you're spending time with the Lord. So I would just say, just be devoted to that, no matter what time, if it's morning, noon, afternoon, early in the morning, be devoted to it, because that's where your instructions come so that you can carry out and do what you need to do for the day.
Dr. Shantan?
I would say take the time to get to know yourself in a real way. Whether it's 2 minutes in the morning, just check in with yourself. How am I feeling? Like, what's going on with me? Depression in African American women is often either misdiagnosed or underdiagnosed. And it's because we don't present in a typical fashion. We don't report, I feel hopeless or I feel sad. We report, I can't sleep at night. I'm irritable all the time. I'm snapping on people. Like I just have no capacity. We report self-blame and self-criticism. So I should have did this. I didn't do this well. I'm not a good friend. I'm not a good partner, all those things. So recognize what's happening with you so you can go and advocate for yourself in all spaces.
And Stephanie?
Along the line, I think self-care is very important. A lot of times we don't know what that looks like. For us women, we think it's just getting our hair done, nails and pedicure, but not that it doesn't. Hey. Not that don't make you feel good. However, there's just other things that we can do to make ourselves feel good. And that's the key. Self-care is doing something that makes you feel good. That could be sleeping late, taking a nap, eating a healthy meal, doing a smoothie all day instead of eating. I do yoga. That's my self-care. But finding something that you love and doing that.
And last but not least, beautiful Regina.
I would say communicate, connect, and honor how you feel. And let's drop this. What happens in our house stays in our house. The silence that we have passed down from generation to generation is killing us. We have to engage and talk and be the village that we should be.
Yeah. Yeah.
And being a part of the village requires vulnerability. It requires us acknowledging, talking about it, and moving away from silence so that we can really be where we need to be to support each other as a collective and to support those that we love, and most importantly, to support ourselves.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. I don't know if you guys received all that I received today, but I want to thank you for hanging out. We're going to take a really quick break, and we will be right back.
Every day a woman reigns.
You're watching Trish Stanley TV, where the everyday woman reigns.
Every day a woman reigns.